Big game. A lot of people advocate put runs on the board and it could be a solution. Many of us didn't agree with that. There's a due factor. There's a record in the last few games that has suggested that teams chasing have been winning more than losing. But the Delhi Capitals were brave. They won the toss. They said, we're going to bat first. We're going to change our batting order. We're going to send Marcus Stoinis out. And how did it work? 38 of 27 set the standard, did Marcus Stoinis. Hetmeyer finished it off with 42 of 22. And that man, who only gets big innings or nothing at all, decided it was the big innings day. Shikhar Dhawan, 78 of 50. Another outstanding performance. Should have been a few more. Except he decided to walk for an LBW. How many people do that? We'll talk about that and so much more with Shaun Pollock and Joy Bhattacharjya. Shaun, a lot of things to talk about, but just very curious. For someone in such good form, it appeared to the naked eye that was struck outside off. Why would Shikhar Dhawan walk off with a smile on his face?
Yeah, very strange, wasn't it? I mean, even watching live, I thought, no, that's outside the line. But it was his body language that gave it away. It's not often that it happens. You know what it's like to get batsmen away from that crease. You have to almost, find many different ways to get them off the field. But to have him give that kind of body language was a big surprise.
And yeah, Joy, I mean, I don't want to harp on that. That could have cost them maybe 10 or 15 runs. But still, you'll have to say overall, the strategy change, the mindset change is what got them 190 almost.
Yeah, first I'm expecting a gift from the Diwali from the Delhi Capitals. I mean, Marcus Stoinis up the order has really changed their fortunes. I think it made a huge difference because it was intent. And because both Rahane and Shaw were tentative in the few matches that they played. And, they just didn't have a run. It was important to get some fresh blood there, somebody who didn't have any baggage. And Stoinis just did that. And if you notice, Stoinis actually slowed down right in the beginning. He started hitting after he got dropped. And that hold, of course, I mean, anyone mentions the word catch in the dressing room at halftime, he's going to probably be slapped by the coach or the captain because they had a disastrous. But the only thing I'd say is that given all that happened, 50 for 1 in the last 4, maybe just 13 in the last 2 overs, this should have been a 200 total. And, one of the reasons it's not is perhaps because Shikhar Dhawan walked.
Yeah, it certainly could be one of those, but you have to give credit to Natarajan as well for his bowling. But Shaun, we mentioned 2 changes. One is Marcus Stoinis, change in batting position. And the other is we've been crying out for it. Rest Daniel Sams, get in Shimron Hetmeyer. They did it and see the result.
Yeah, the Hetmeyer one made sense. I mean, I think the Stoinis one was a little bit of a surprise. We wouldn't have maybe predicted that. But Hetmeyer, I mean, he's got that potential. And, when you weigh up the contribution Sams will make compared to what Hetmeyer can bring, particularly after Delhi had struggled with their batting throughout the tournament, it was a surprise that they left him out. And it was good to see him come back and strike some form. It also did show you that, the Hyderabad side, when you go with the 5 bowlers, ideally when things go according to plan, it looks great and it's perfect. But it's always nice to have that luxury. I mean, Nadeem had a day from hell that he would want to forget. And he would have, I was surprised I didn't go to Samad just to bowl an over of leg spin just to have a look because it really wasn't working for Nadeem. And that's why the best balanced units definitely have that 6 bowling option. As Joyce says, in all honesty, it should have been worse damage than that. From some of the deliveries that we saw, some of the drop catches. In many ways, we've seen this Abu Dhabi surface. 190's not much over par in some of the games. I think Mumbai got 200 or over that score 4 or 5 times in the tournament so far. So in many ways, SRH will probably be happy the way they've pulled it back, and they've got to believe that it's just over par for the ground. But the only thing I would say about the SRH batting lineup is that it's a unit that you think 160, 170 is a chase for them. When you start to go 190, they don't really have that firepower at the end. And in many ways, it all relies on how Warner starts. If he gets off to a flyer, then they've got an opportunity. But they're very comfortable. Kane Williamson, for example, if it's 165, he knows how to pace that. I think 190 just takes him a little bit out of his comfort zone. And it's going to be interesting to see how he approaches it. So it's a massive, important first 6 overs. And I'm glad that the badge on hasn't been taken because we can negotiate what we think is going to be.
Yeah, Joy, 2 factors there. when you think of the 190 plus run chases, you can think of a team like Rajasthan Royals, who are not in the tournament anymore, but they've done it in the past. They have that kind of firepower, that fearless firepower, really, and they've done it in Abu Dhabi. But when you look at a team like this, as Shaun just mentioned, firstly, you can add a few more runs for the fact that it's a knockout game. Then someone like Kane Williamson in his comfort zone. Then Ridhiman Saha not playing. So all these factors make it so Warner dependent, Joy.
Absolutely. And they have to take their risks upfront, and upfront against guys who bowl at 150 is just the kind of thing Rabada likes. As Rabada may not have had his greatest tournament in the last few matches, but a batsman trying to hit him off his length or trying to make space or back away and trying to make space is ideal for him. So expect a lot of bowls, and he'll just keep it straight. He'll keep it up. It'll be very, very difficult to hit him. And at 190, there's no bowler you can really say that I'll take on only the fifth bowler. You have to take your chances against Ashwin, against Akshar Patel, and against these two. You can't just say wait for somebody to go and smash. And this bowling attack is a very, very good bowling attack. It's a terrific bowling attack to defend 190, especially given even Priyam Garg, if you look, he had a bit of an injury. Is he going to come out to bat or not? I'm not particularly sure. That injury didn't look great for him as well.
Yeah, so many factors. It's just one of those things. When it's not your day, it's not your day. But just in terms of their run chases, we've talked so much about their run chases, and have a look at it this season. The last 3, 6 wickets, 10 wickets, 5 wickets. But if you see those targets, that is what Shaun Pollock was talking about earlier, more in their comfort zone, and they just sort of make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, you have a look at that one in Mumbai, 209. They lost by 34 runs. That's what I'd say. I would say they're almost a 170 team. If they can chase 170 or just under, I really feel they can knock it off because they've got such smart heads. But when Mumbai, or as you mentioned, Rajasthan are at the crease, they've got that hit ability. They're guys who can clear the boundaries at will at the back end. And that's why they can sometimes chase 180, 190. And as Joy mentioned, doubling up on the fact that it is a knockout game is going to have an impact as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. A lot will rest on Warner's shoulders. That will be for sure. And Delhi have got a good bowling attack. You've got the 2 South Africans. You've got Stoinis, who can give you a few. You've got the 3 spinning options. So they can mix things up a little bit more than what we saw from SRH. But, they are full of confidence. It's going to be interesting what that team talk in the dressing room is going to be about. I think you've got to try and really focus on, listen, put that behind you. Stop licking your wounds about how the bowling and the fielding and everything else went. There's 20 overs we have to focus on. We can discuss that after the game. Get in the zone, concentrate, ball, watch it out the hand, and see what we can do.
Yeah, it'll be a lot more relaxed in the Delhi dressing room, Joy. A lot of praise and maybe a quiet word about walking to Shikhar Dhawan. But let's forget that end, the innings that he did play. Remember, he didn't have a great record in playoffs. First half century in a playoff scenario for Shikhar Dhawan, following on those 200s. But it's that 78 of 50 balls was just, the acceleration came at the right time. He saw Stoinis going well, and he's like, new strategy. I'm still the old Shikhar Dhawan. Go for it.
No, absolutely. I loved the way he allowed Stoinis to play his part, then sort of dominated after that. And it's these two and Hetmyer who got them. I mean, in that sense, for whatever time Shreyas Iyer spent in the crease, he didn't do very much for them. But, I'll take you up on one thing. I think this knowing Trevor Bayliss, this SRH dressing room will be a very calm dressing room. They'll say, we've got everything against us. Like SRH now, right now, the way they'll be playing it is, we are the goalkeeper in a penalty. Nobody expects us to save this now. We've got Ridhiman Saha out. We're chasing 190. One of our batsmen may be injured. We've had a terrible time in the field. So they are going in with nothing to lose at this point in time. I can tell you that much, that they'll be very calm. They'll come out. They'll do it 1 time out of 10. Everyone knows that. But they're not going to put any extra pressure on themselves.
Yeah, it's got to be an unorthodox approach. Almost like what Joy just said about Sunrisers at the moment was what Delhi's mindset would have been before the start of this game. We've lost 5 out of 6. Everything's against us. The guys opposite us in orange have won 5 out of 6. What can we do different? We bring in Hetmyer, change the batting order. It's worked. Have a look at this. Delhi in knockouts and playoffs have that one time they've won an eliminator. And for Sunrisers, have a look at that. Very, very different.
Yeah.
They've got a far better record, but forget the records right now. I mean, you don't think about that, Shaun Pollock. That's history. Right now, it's about turning things around like Delhi already have.
Yeah, as we said, I mean, they would have been trying to come up with the best possible plans after having a really bad run for those 5 games. And they answered it. They were very good. They decided to bat first, which was a bit of a bold move. They decided to change their batting order and change their team, which was a bold move, and all that's paid off. SRH, I mean, they came in beaming with confidence. It's probably been their worst 20 overs that we've seen from them in the last 7 games. But there's always still the chance with the bat in hand. But I do think the captain is going to have to lead from the front here. Warner will have to play a spectacular knock at the top, I would feel.
I'm a little worried, Joy. I was just trying to eavesdrop on what's happening in Abu Dhabi. The Delhi boys are posing for a team photograph. Do they need to?
Yeah, but normally what happens is that no matter what you do, some guy like me would have told them, okay, the moment there's a half, remember, guys, we just got to finish off this photograph before we go out. So
yeah, there's always a manager. There's always a manager searching for a photo. Always a manager.
Yeah, it's a social media guys who want to post it. The excuse will be, listen, it's not about that. We can probably take another picture during the final, but this is for Abu Dhabi. We need that backdrop. It's a different looking stadium. We need one in each stadium. So that'll have been the excuse. But certainly we saw Bangalore do it. They're not in the tournament anymore, so at least they have that souvenir. But really, from Delhi's perspective, they've got to tell themselves that Hyderabad will come hard. They'll do something a little different, a little out of their own comfort zone. So we need to keep things simple. Nokia, Rabada, time to come to the party, Shaun Pollock.
Definitely. I think the plan should be really good too. I mean, if there's anyone who's watched David Warner over the last years, it would have been Ricky Ponting. So he should have a clear understanding about whether they're going to come around the wicket, try and tuck him up, or what lines they're going to bowl. And then also, I'm sure there'll be discussion. Goswami's got to have pressure put on him. So, if Warner picks up a single, so be it. If he goes and stands down the other end and watches, and then we can really try and build this pressure on the guy who hasn't played in the last 2 years, just had the one knock, didn't get off the mark. So I think that'll be the talk. But I think the plans from Delhi should be pretty good. Will they start with Ashwin? That could also be an option.
Will these guys start with Manish Pandey walking out with David Warner?
Yeah, so you've called one already, Joy. Marcus Stoinis being the X factor. Could it just be, we don't know yet, could it just be that they won't risk a Shrivats Goswami going out there just because of the lack of cricket he's had? He just had that one innings, not expected to play. So do you maybe go with a bit of form? Do they have an equivalent of a Stoinis somewhere down the order, Joy?
Maybe not. Maybe you go with the Manish Pandey. You go with a Manish Pandey and say, look, let's put our 2 best batsmen. Let's give them the entire 6 overs. If they go. If they don't, hey, this match is 90% lost anyway.
Yeah, we could just
I think they want to go for a fast start. They want to go for a fast start. Goswami, back yourself. As I said earlier, if you get me 20 in 10 deliveries, you've done your job.
I mean, if I had to throw an X factor in, I would probably go Kane Williamson. I mean, and we've seen someone a class act like that. I know you sort of make the middle order a little brittle, but I was just throwing one out there. Somebody a little bit different, not Shrivats Goswami. That would be my call. Who it is, we'll find out very shortly. But meantime, Shaun Pollock, you are the most excited of all of us about the My 11 Circle badge of honor. 6 overs for Hyderabad. Go for it.
55.
55, chasing 190. Very interesting. That's probably the kind of basic total they want to be at, and a little bit more. Joy, what are you going for?
I'll low ball. I'll go 37.
37.
Yeah, I'm saying they're going to go hard, lose a couple of wickets, and then sort of land up somewhere.
Joy has just put his South African cap on, Shaun Pollock. It means Kagiso Rabada and Anrich Nokia will have done some damage early on. Well, I'm going to stick in between. I don't like to do that, but I promise you I was thinking of a figure in the 40s. I'm going to go for 43, and I can confirm to you it is an X factor. They've gone for a youngster. They've gone for Priyam Garg. We don't know if it was an injury or not, but Priyam Garg has walked out to bat. You can do it, young man. It's fearless stuff. How about that? Stoinis for Delhi, Priyam Garg for the Sunrisers. Joy, what do you think of that decision before?
No, interesting. Perfectly. No, before we go, just Ridhiman Sai, the last match was hobbling. They knew he was injured. They sent him out to go and whack it. I think Priyam is the same. I think Priyam is not particularly fit. So first 6 overs, go there, target the bowlers. If it works, it works. It doesn't matter.
Do you believe in that adage, Shaun Pollock? Beware the walking wounded, beware the Gordon Greenidge.
Yeah, might be a good call, and maybe Goswami to go if he gets out too. To get them off to a fast start and then rely on the experience in the middle.
All right, there you have it. We are in the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s for a 6-over score. Where's it going to be? It's going to be all fun and games, all to play for. The next 20 overs will decide who will meet Mumbai on Tuesday, and one team will be going home. Is it orange? Is it blue? We'll find out. Cricbuzz Combox in the 10th over, and so much to talk about. My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. Boom!